Oh no, I have to log in.
more. I'm just joking. I'm just like. Well,
And this
sort of
slow computer. I don't know how it's going. I think I have one quote.
Perfect shit in the stuff that nobody ever goes to. Dude, I say sometimes, I say arguably worse shit than Daniel most of the time. If you want to know about me. No. Oh, you have no idea. I don't expect you to tell this. So you don't know what happens when Daniel and I hang out. I'm spending only a match. I'm at his house pretty frequently, so it gets.
Well, why are you in there?
Cole, you are a part of the problem. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I just say like weird things, but they're not like fine.
That was pretty.
That is keep misquoted.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, it was slightly. What was the difference?
Can I copy this link?
I believe instead of penis, I just said it because I was referring to either a penis or.
What are you guys talking about?
Well, this is so this one should have had brackets around it.
I am gonna murder Zoom. Why is it so difficult on this computer?
Playing a keyboard with.
No, yeah, of course.
Yeah, you do. That's something like.
Did I ask you guys how Zoe thought they worked? Penis is got. Yeah, she was very.
All right.
No, she thought that you could grab things with it.
Like just.
No. Like this,
What?
See how you can just grab things like that.
Oh, like an elephant.
Exactly, like an elephant. See how that like it would be, but she also thought that without doing anything, you could just.
If you could, where would that come in?
Well then, no. She also thought that you could just propel her without having to do anything. You just stand there and go.
You just have the perfect. Oh, there's the deer.
What is it? What is it?
Remember it? Under like Dutch or Danish or something. I don't know. There's like a show. The premise is like God, just have a new fall. Oh wait, have either of you watched The Boys?
I know of it, but I haven't watched it. I do know the show though.
You know, there's a really specific. Okay, I don't want to put that in. I was about to pull something.
Was it gonna be Dutch little kids show big fingers?
Effectively, the exact term I was about to say is European children's show. Which I am probably. You watch The Boys?
The Boys at the Amazon show?
Yeah. I think.
Can you not say these things right now?
I don't recall.
No, I'm not at home. I am about to. I'm gonna be. All right. We're gonna wait for people want to come in and then we'll start. I guess. All right, suppose we shall start at
I'm happy that the result.
Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
7. Yeah, that should be good.
Wait, shit. The audio meeting is just happening right now. Fuck, goddamn it. There are, I'll give them these ones happening. Yes, sorry. I'll. Hello, wait, am I audible? Hello?
You're always.
Hi, sorry I'm late. Paul and I were talking about Danish children shows long penis. But now you do. It's a real thing, which is really sad. It shouldn't exist.
Oh, they play it.
But it blurred it out.
Wait, no, because I'm watching like a news story on it, and they had this word like every.
Well, duh, it's look at it.
Well, I mean, it's like covered.
Oh, sure, but like, it's not, it's obvious what it is. Wait, what did you say?
Oh dear, oh dear, you can really tell it's very late into a quarter when nobody's doing.
I wish I could tell you.
What?
The show.
I don't know what the boxing
Yeah.
Should we leave the camera as is? Because right now it's just pointing at a bunch of wires.
Kind of fun.
It's just so many joints, and it's like it's a bunch of wires speaking instead of like the there, you should probably actually get started.
There are people, yeah, you know, any. You're the definition, I'm the definition.
I don't.
Let's read this for a second. My stream, my share my screen. Zoom, I am up to here with your shenanigans. Select. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, I am going to assume nobody else is gonna come around here,
For some reason, my.
so I might as well just start now.
So I had to re-close Rovo and. it's
How
been
do
now
I
trying to
close
open
this?
the Unity project for an hour.
I guess I just don't. Hello, hello, fellow writers and members. This is
Yes.
so this is the writing workshop for visual novels and dating sims. It's on week 8, I'm pretty sure. Now I'm gonna apologize beforehand. I didn't really rehearse this workshop. I'm also kind of running on very low sleep. I slept for like 2 hours. So if I make no sense whatsoever, then I apologize. That's the reason why. What? It's showing. Bunch of wires. Anyway, so I guess we should get the show going. So, what the heck is a visual novel? Well, it's a game, but it's a novel. It's a game novel, but that name kind of sucks. So we just call it a visual novel instead. As you can see here, this is a visual novel. Within a visual novel, within a visual novel. You can't read it because you're probably too far away. But you know. Now joking aside. So visual novels are basically games where a significant amount of gameplay is taken up by reading. I wrote that definition. It's not the proper definition, I guess. But this tends to be what you do when you're doing visual novels. You're sitting down and you're going to be reading a whole lot. There's varying amounts of gameplay, from just clicking on options on the screen to having quote unquote actual gameplay in between reading sessions. And you can debate whether or not the gameplay overtakes the reading, but that's a different topic. The story can either be extremely linear to very complex with branching paths and many endings. And as I mentioned here, it generally has a couple of endings. It usually doesn't have like just one ending. And they all depend on the player's choice. Also. Topics tend to vary a lot, even for games. Because visual novels can be very easy to make. They're kind of accessible. There's a whole lot of breadth, or like whatever you say, however you say it, when it like comes to like the type of stuff that visual novels are going to talk about. And this also means that if you don't do your research, you might come across a visual novel that you're like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted to read today. So you got to do some research before you decide to read. So here's some examples of visual novels. Okay, so you can debate Danganronpa on whether or not it's a visual novel, but all these other games, you can see that they have like a typical setup. There's like a dialogue box with like a character like in the center or like on the screen, and they're saying stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of variance. Variance not only within the UI, but also with gameplay. So for example, with Valhalla, you can see the gameplay side of things constantly because this UI is always on the screen along with your monies. But yeah, these are basically very good examples of visual novels. This one here is not a game that's being sold right now. I wrote for that, so I included that, so I could toot my horn. So now we kind of get an idea of visual novels, but what about dating sims? So basically, dating sims are games where you date people, and that might seem kind of obvious, but you know, it has characters you can date, of course, and it will often contain affinity stats and certain routes to go down. Because of the nature of dating sims, they mesh very well with visual novels. So a lot of dating sims tend to be visual novels within themselves. So here's some examples of dating sims. You got, oh my God, you got the KFC visual novel, and you got more standard stuff. I believe this is Boyfriend Dungeon. I don't actually know this. I'm pretty sure it's Boyfriend Dungeon though. And then you got Doki Doki Literature Club. You can also debate if this is a dating sim, but for the purposes, we'll say it is. We got the Dream Daddy. We got this game. We got this game. You date ghosts. You date a horse in this one. You can date fucking Sonic character on Overwatch. Cthulhu. The point is, there's a lot of dating sims out there with lots of wacky things you can do in them. So one very important thing you have to include in a dating sim are character archetypes and tropes. This is where the art really needs to come in, because you need to be able to look at a character and be like, okay, I can kind of guess where their character might be going. Similarly, dating sims often rely on tropes and archetypes. So players can immediately guess who they want to pursue and like, you know, who they want to date without going down that route and be like, oh goddamn, this is not what I wanted. SMH, I can't believe I spent $15 on this game.
So I'm gonna ask for like.
So you got a variety of characters here, and you can probably guess their personality just from looking at their character. And this combined with their writing, combined with their introduction, should give you a very quick idea of what their business might be, and if you are actually interested in going down this route. Speaking of routes, most dating sims have routes. I'm very sorry for switching between routes and routes. Where the story significantly and permanently diverges based on the character you are pursuing. Anyway, less common term is common routes. It refers to the story before the story starts segmenting itself into like specific character branches. And character common route is the same thing, but before the character's story starts to diverge. So how exactly routes are decided on depends on the game itself. So some games let you choose your route directly, like the Arcana, and some decide for you based on the stats you've obtained so far in the game. So for example, Monster Prom, like your avidity shits, they'll decide like kind of like the route you're taking with like certain characters. I think Dream Daddy is also an example, but I'm not actually too sure because I've never seen actual proper gameplay of Dream Daddy. I just heard that it's an example, so take it with a grain of salt. Well, not too much salt, because you're gonna die of dehydration. Endings, of course, with a dating sim and visual novels, you need to have endings. For dating sims, they're generally divided into good and bad endings, depending on the game itself. They're usually decided behind the scenes. You don't get to really choose what bad ending you get. There are like some exceptions, like when I was looking at the previous sites for reference. Apparently, exceptions to this include Wizardess Heart and Blood and Roses. I also know neither of these games, so you have to take that with a grain of salt too. But as you can see here, you can like there's like a part where you can like select who you try to ask out, and then like depending on how well you're doing, you could like actually go to a prom and like win, or you could like totally get dumped and then you're sad forever. This is a piece from Arcana. I believe these are endings. Yeah. So most dating sims, or maybe some, I don't actually know the full extent of this. Most dating sims use affinity as their dating mechanic. They're earned through good dialogue choices, gifts, and spending time with a character. There are many more ways in which the affinity mechanic can be used, but these are the most like common ones. And also depends on the game, of course. Some explicitly tell you when affinity changes, like Dream Daddy, and other games keep this hidden, like the Arcana. Monster Prom was also like use as an example of this, but it's kind of fake. So you can see here, these two emotes pop up whenever you make like a decision, and these are from Monster Prom. And these like tell you if your like stats or like perception is like increasing and stuff. But like, you might be asking yourself, why? Why write visual novels? Why write dating sims? I don't want to read. I want a game. Why do I want to play a visual novel? Well, there are actually a multitude of good reasons for doing this. The first one being it helps you practice your prose and characterization. Because in visual novels and dating sims, the characters and the story takes the main focus. You can you'll work a whole lot on it, and because you're going to be working on a whole lot on it, you'll get a lot of practice when it comes to like writing out stories, pacing out your story, and like characterizing people whenever you need to, as necessary. As I said before, for the second point, you can pace out the story without too much difficulty. Like maybe in like Dragon's Age Inquisition, it would be really hard to change stuff like it to like make something really long because the programmers gotta have to like put that shit in. But with visual novels, it's not too hard to do that. It's still annoying if you have to do that, but like it's not hard compared to like like an open world type of game where it's like a huge amount of work just to fucking make shit, And if you're a novelist, then visual novels can of course serve as a transitioning point between writing just regular old novels into like getting into like video game writing, assuming you're gonna be working on stuff like narrative and characters, instead of like technical writing, like item descriptions. I couldn't really come up with anything else. I just think writing for visual novels is pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. I think you'll get a whole lot out of it. So how do you make a visual novel? Well, there's actually a lot of tools out there to help you make your own visual novel. There's multiple engines and scripts dedicated to visual novels, like Redkey. You can find a visual novel maker on Steam, but it does cost money, so probably not the best. And there are some free Unity plugins that allow you to make visual novels within your visual novel sections within your games. I forgot the name that I used for my projects, so please forgive me for that. You can also get some art. You can also get some art assets because visual novels, you kind of need art for those. You can either make some yourself, or you could get an artist on your team. However, I will say, if you do decide to work with artist for this, you need to be able to communicate and plan this shit out with your artist, because they need to be able to know what they're doing and what they need to do. If you decide to change shit for whatever reason and you don't tell your artist that you need new assets, they're gonna be mad. Like if I told one of the art officers that like, if I worked with an art officer and I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna include this character, I'm gonna make a whole new character and it's gonna be so awesome. And I don't tell them until the last minute, they're gonna like disembowel me. So don't do that. Plan and communicate your story to them. They will be very grateful for that. As this is a little bit of a side note, it's not that important, but you know, I think it's important enough to address. Many games include mechanics from visual novels and dating sims without being visual novels and dating sims themselves. And this is probably where you got introduced to a lot of them. For example, there's Hades. I think there's like a relationship mechanic in the game. And it's also pretty dialogue heavy from what I've seen, but it is neither a visual novel or a dating sim. The same goes for Like a Dragon. There's also a dating sim. I don't like the dating sim myself, but that's another topic. And there's a lot of dialogue where you just read, but it is not a visual novel or a dating sim. But it does contain dating sim and visual novel mechanics. So on and so forth for Persona 5 and Post Awakening Fire Emblem. So I suppose we should close this out with an activity. Since I only got 2 hours of sleep, we have 2 options. You know, this is like choosing a route for like a dating sim. You're gonna get the good ending or the bad ending. So the first option we can have is just play a visual novel right now and just kind of see where we end up with one of these games. So if you choose option 1, we could choose either Monster Prom or Video Game Development Love, which I just downloaded. Or number 2, we can try and plan out a visual novel, which may be a bit complicated considering we might only have 2 people here. But you know what? We can probably try and make it work. So which option do you want to do? Do you want to do 1 or 2? 2. Interesting. All right. So now that we've chosen activity 2, we shall spin a wheel to decide our setting. And depending on how many people there are here, we'll plan out skeletons of characters in a Google Doc with the setting on top so we remind ourselves what we're actually writing for. So all we need to plan this out is the name, the archetype of the character, like are they like a foil to the main character? Are they like a tsundere? Are they like a dandere? I'm really sorry if you don't like, if you're not into anime, but those are like the only things I could come up with. And then maybe a skeleton outline of like what will happen with these characters, like what's the possible route a player can take with this. Hold on, let me get out of here. I'll set up the docs soon, but we have to roll this. Let me just move this out of the way. All right, I just created this wheel. There's actual proper settings, and then there's also just kind of nonsensical stuff like deaf game. You know, like why wouldn't you want to date somebody in a deaf game, you know? All right. So what's the setting going to be for our dating sim? Oh my God. Why did the wheel have to choose like the most standard ass thing? Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be planning out a visual novel. I really should have written dating sim here. We're going to plan out a dating sim at a Japanese high school. Of course we are. All right, so I'll make the doc and I'll share it within the writing channel. We should be good to go from there. I don't actually have a timer for this. Did I? Meetings. Jason, are you doing this? Alright. That's fine. And I shared the link. In the channel, you should be able to access it. If you cannot, then please call me. Otherwise, I think we can take about like 10 to 15 minutes doing this. We're not gonna be focusing too much on this, you know what I mean? I will end the streaming for the YouTube and the Zoom. Because this is just something you guys can do at home. But thank you guys for watching. Even though I am a bundle of wires. And yeah. Can I end this?